Hi, I'm Danny,
Hi, I'm Mel.
and we're the Sheehan sisters. If you haven't seen our faces before, we like to do podcast and commentary style videos on different topics we like to talk about. I almost had it perfectly.
Do you want to redo it or you're good?
No, we'll keep it in.
As always, grab your coffee, water, tea, your beverage of choice. Get cozy because we have a lot to talk about today.
I do have my water today. I have this giant thermos.
I also have my water. You guys can see how hot it is of all the precipitation? No, that's rain.
It's condensation.
Okay.
Listen, hot take. We should do you know how we have our book club? We should start like expanding it into like reviewing elementary subjects, like the basics.
Yes, videos like that will pop up on my Instagram reel and I'll try to like do the exercise or whatever it is. Like this one video popped up of like, how do you pronounce this word? And it was like words that you don't hear that often.
Right. I do try to look up the definition of words as I'm reading a book.
Same. I really need to buy a dictionary because I need to stop going on my phone.
Same. I might have one. I'll have to look around.
Also, I want to point out that it's a heat wave in Seattle while I'm filming this. And I have my fan on. So
I have a fan on too. It's a small fan. It's closer to me than the last time I had a fan during filming, so this one might get picked up, but hopefully not. So sorry if it does.
I think this is why we always like weirdly stop filming in the summertime, and I think it's because it's like we're too hot and we don't want to do.
Well, I was just going to say, like, we're in mid-June and we're still going. Let's go. The witches usually melt for the summer and then we get resurrected during the fall.
Yes, well, we're committing to it, and we're almost gonna be at like a full year of doing this channel, which we've been doing this channel on and off, but it's been a while since we committed to do full year of like regularly posting.
Consistency. We're showing up for you all. So show up for us.
Yes. Also, happy Pride. I forgot to say that in our last video. We're almost done with June.
Well, what day is it? It's June 16th, so we're halfway there. Oh, living on Pride Month.
Love it.
Love it.
There's so much happening in the world. It's Pride Month. It's World Cup.
The Knicks won the finals.
I missed New York for just a little bit, even though I knew I would never have been out there and all that.
It's so funny because I used to play basketball in middle school. Like, I was on a team. Our team was not good. Not to say it was my fault, okay, bitches. I was one of the good players.
What was your position? Do you remember?
Center.
Okay.
And I would watch basketball, and then after my relationship with someone ended, completely stopped watching basketball, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I care for sports. Listen, I'm a competitive person, so like, yeah, you want to watch a game, like Theo loves the Mets, and that's another team that is hard to be a fan of. So if he wants to go to a Mets game, of course I'll get into it. I'll have a good time. But am I going to keep up with it and like track the stats of all the players and know everybody and what's going on? No.
Right. People out here keep asking me about the Knicks, and because they know I'm from New York, and I'm just like, but I don't care about sports. Like, so happy for my city, but I don't know.
It's been so crazy during the finals that I was like, thank God it's over. Thank God it's over.
I do kind of want to one day, you and I, just like get cute and sit courtside, like just for the fuck of it.
So, Knicks, if you want to pay for our courtside seats in the future,
Let us know.
I did see your girl, Taylor Swift, wearing the t-shirt that said Stevie Nicks, and I thought that was really cute.
I was like, I need that. I need that.
Same. Lots of celebrities, because, you know, they're the only ones that can really afford the tickets.
Right. People are like, why are these celebrities there? And I'm like, because they can afford it. They just go, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't care about sports, but if I can afford it, why not?
Our boy Timothy Chalamet was acting like he was part of the team.
Listen, that man, people are giving him shit, but he's a born and raised New Yorker, okay?
He is. Yes.
We will allow it.
Speaking of Timothy Chalamet, we had offered him up as...
We offered him a role.
We offered him a role to be Holden Caulfield in our, you know, we thought we could make The Catcher in the Rye. We spoke about this in our last episode. That was episode 20, right? Are we on episode 21?
Yes.
So in episode 20, we did our book review for Catcher in the Rye, and we're throwing everything out the window now. Now we're throwing everything out the window because we watched the Salinger documentary. And we learned a lot about that man.
Yes, and I was telling Danny, I was like, maybe going forward, we try to do our research a little sooner. Although I'm still happy we spoke about the book because it's considered a classic, and I feel like we kind of debunked that, and we're continuing to debunk that with further research.
Well, listen, I actually didn't mind rereading the book and then learning about him.
So the documentary is called Salinger, and it's actually free on Tubi if you guys want to go and watch it.
That man. So listen, we're not going to be making The Catcher in the Rye because that man, we learned, is a creep. He's a creep. And B, he created a trust, and that book cannot legally be turned into a movie. So for 2 reasons, we will not be making Catcher in the Rye. If you all were excited, I know you were like, you couldn't wait to see us bring that book to life.
Yeah, so sorry to crush anyone's dreams and hopes.
Well, listen, I texted Mel. I had about 30 to 40 minutes of the documentary left, and I was like, is Salinger a creep? And Mel's like, I know. So that man, when he was 30, was talking to young girls that were half his age.
He was dating teenagers, grooming them. It's weird because they presented it in the documentary like, and here's his life. And I'm like, enough people were not annoyed by it. There was only that one older woman who was like, I guess he liked them young. Like, that was the shadiest comment that was made.
It's weird though, because he knew not to cross certain lines with the teenagers.
No, didn't he date the 16-year-old?
Which 16-year-olds?
Alarming. The one that left him for Charlie Chaplin.
He did. Well, he was a little bit younger at that time. So, but yeah, he was like 19 when he dated her. That was a wild story. That actress, I can't remember her name right now, but she lived a life, let me tell you.
She was dating she was dating everybody.
All the famous authors. She was like,
Ona O'Neill is, I think.
Ona O'Neill, yes. Yes, so he dated her, and you can tell she was the inspiration for Jane Gallagher, from what I gathered. What do you think?
Yes, I was thinking that exactly. His lost love.
Yeah, so that man's a creep. He's a predator. Then he was interested in Jean when she was 14, and they met while he was like on a resort in Miami. And he would take walks with her on the beach every morning. And they would meet when they were back in New York with her family, and I was like, what's happening here?
Yeah, she was like, how old was she? 13?
14.
And he goes up to the mom and is like, I'm gonna marry her one day. Like, sir, get away from my daughter. Over here talking about he just wants to save the children. No, we need to save the children from JD Salinger.
He was like, oh, I would kiss you, but you know I can't. He would see her throughout the years, and then she mentioned that when she was 18, they were hanging out again, and they went on a trip to Montreal together, and she told him that she's a virgin, and then he got weird about it.
Yeah, he is a very strange man. And she was trying to justify his actions by being like, he never did anything, and then I'm the one that made the move. And I'm like, no, girl, it was still weird. He should not have been hanging out with you.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it seemed like he would do this with a lot of women where he was sending them letters and like trying to make them feel special in some way,
Yes.
using his status.
He had one of the young girls who was a up and coming writer move in with him.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what is happening here?
And then when he was married, he would hide himself in the shed.
This man was not a good husband, was not a good father.
Yeah, so I was thinking, I was like, maybe we need to read his daughter's memoir.
Yes. And I thought it was interesting that her brother was like, oh no, like I don't have the same memories about dad as you do.
Of course not. Of course, the son and the daughter are going to be treated differently, especially by a man like that.
Drastically different. And that's another conversation where so many children grow up in the same household and they're like, no, we had two different mothers or two different fathers.
Exactly.
Let me pull up my notes because I had some specific things besides calling out JD Salinger as a creep. Have some other notes to point out.
Yes. And Margaret Salinger, his daughter, is still alive. She's 70 years old.
What about the scandal of Salinger marrying the woman who was part of the Nazi party?
Wait, oh my God, wait. Yes, we have to talk about that. Oh, that's insane.
Scandalous.
He literally married a Nazi. It was like as if things could not get worse.
And then came back to the States with her and they got divorced a month later. I wonder why.
They were trying to make it, they were trying to allude to the fact that he was like deceived by her in some way, but I don't know about that.
A couple of notes I wanted to mention. We learned that there were not one, not two, but three people that were motivated by Catcher in the Rye to go and shoot and murder someone.
Do you, I was thinking about this while watching and it's not funny. Sorry, I'm laughing out of like it being a silly question because it's like if Catcher in the Rye didn't exist, would John Lennon still be alive? Like the whole trajectory of the timeline of life.
That's a butterfly effect right there.
Literally, that's the movie we're creating, actually.
Right, yes. Well, they were also saying, was it Reagan?
I think the other one was an attempted murder of a president, right?
Yeah, John Hinckley Jr. He attempted to assassinate Ronald Reagan. Listen, as a writer, I'm not blaming Catcher in the Rye. I don't really. I could, like Mel had mentioned in our last episode, like, yes, during its time, Catcher in the Rye was rebellious. It was astonishing, right, to be anti-system. So, yeah, I can see people who are already deranged or mentally ill picking up the book and being like, yeah, I hate people too, and I have this disdain in my heart. Do I think that it's Salinger's fault? No. I mean, I don't blame the Catcher in the Rye for those people those people's motivations. They allude to, feeling similar to Holden Caulfield, but they had other things going on in their brain that I think they were bound to.
Right, they were bound to unravel and do something,
Malicious.
yeah, devious.
Do something devious, right? So I can't necessarily blame Salinger. I don't think he expected anybody to take his book and be like, oh yeah, this convinced me to go murder someone.
Right, right. That's what I'm saying. I feel like people take a lot of that book out of context because, yeah, he did hate phonies and he didn't really like Hollywood all that much. But I don't think there was enough in there for it to seem like Holden himself ever wanted to go and attack. I mean, there were a few comments he made that were concerning, but I don't know. Yeah, like, again, it's all about someone's perception, though, and that's what we talk about on this channel a lot too, where we're watching a movie or a show or reading a book, and the symbolism and ideas we take from it is going to be completely different from what someone else is going to take from it. And we talk about that with like celebrity idolization as well, where we're like, you need to be careful about the dynamics that you're creating when you're building some kind of like a fan base or a support system, and you just don't know who people are or what they're capable of.
You really don't. And we do learn that Salinger became a recluse. And once he got a bit of fame from Catcher in the Rye, he realized how much he didn't want to be in the spotlight and then retreated, moved away to, it was New Hampshire, right?
Yeah, New Hampshire.
And would hide out. And I think that would be, like, I think that became an allure for some people where they were like, oh, now he's this mysterious author hiding in the mountains. We want to know what he's up to.
Right, and there was a part of that that I understood. I was like, yeah, I want to go and move away to the mountains and hide away. And I've talked about on this channel how I don't actually want fame, even though I'm doing something that could lead to that. But then when I found out like what a weird person he was, I was like, yeah, maybe for the best that you stay just far away from society. And someone in the documentary even pointed out that he kind of liked that that gave him more attention as well. And I think so too, because he would still have conversations with people, but then be angry with them for recognizing him or wanting to have a conversation with him. And again, like I saw both sides of it, where I'm like, yeah, you don't want people to just worship you and idolize you and then end up using your work to do something horrible. So I can understand him wanting to like move away from that aspect of it. We never fully got to understand what was going on in his mind when he was writing a lot of these things.
We also learned that he joined the army and he was amongst the battle of World War II, and that severely traumatized him, and he came back and he had a lot of mental health issues due to war and what he experienced. And there's a part at the end of the documentary where he's talking to a journalist, and I'm pretty sure it's one of the last interviews he did give, where he was telling her that he has a lot of, I wrote this down. He tells her he has serious issues he's trying to tackle with his a new writing project. And he also mentions writing Holden Caulfield was a mistake. So, yes, maybe it was for the best that he isolated himself, or he just got so lost in his own mind being secluded. We don't really know, because he was also still manipulating women from afar. So this man is, there's a lot to unpack to it with his thought processes and his emotions.
Yeah, we're not going to dismiss the fact that he definitely had mental health issues, being a war veteran, having PTSD. But I don't think that, like you said, doesn't excuse the fact that he was still being inappropriate with women and manipulative towards them.
I also found it interesting when he had that one young girl live with him who was the up and coming writer. He tells her the only person who could play Holden Caulfield was himself. The ego on that man.
Yeah, he definitely had a big ego, thought very highly of himself. I think he almost had this thought that he was too good for all of it. And that's kind of why he also wanted to be away from it. Like, he's like, I'm too good for this Hollywood shit.
Perhaps.
Anyway, what else did you want to say about the documentary or The Catcher in the Rye?
There were some elements of the book we never got to delve into in our last episode, like Holden's obsession with where do the ducks go in Central Park and his comfort hunting hat. And those were significant symbols within the book that we didn't even get to bring up in our last episode. And we can talk more about it now if we wanted to, but we're at a good place with our review. What do you think? Is there anything you wanted to add? I think we hit on the right symbolism in our last episode. We did focus on some major themes of Catcher in the Rye.
I agree. And although those are two major symbols that people have spoken about, I feel like that's been said and done. And I think we hit on other aspects that maybe haven't been explored yet. The only thing I will say about the ducks is, like, was it not common knowledge yet that the ducks flew south? Like, was that not known at this point in time? Or like, I was just confused. I was like, why does he not know where the ducks go? Because I remember in elementary school there were books and they talked about where the ducks and the birds would fly south for the winter.
Well, we know Holden wasn't paying attention in any other class but English, so he may have looked past that information.
But do you remember that one book about the duck who got left behind?
Is it called like Howard or something?
Howard. That's that movie we're gonna do. We're gonna do Howard.
I just think it's so funny that I was like, oh, we're gonna do Handmaid's Tale. Just kidding, no. We're gonna do Catcher in the Rye. Just kidding, no. We're gonna
do something that has never been done before.
We got our big egos as well. Listen, this man, I don't know, it's not really well known that he was inappropriate with young girls. Don't you find that interesting?
Yeah, we need to make that more widely known. We're gonna put it out there. Go watch the documentary.
Go watch the documentary. Towards the end, they have these notes on the screen that inform you that J.D. Salinger created a trust. So all his stories, all the rights to his stories are within this trust. He explicitly stated that no one can ever make a movie of Catcher in the Rye.
He still has stories and novels being published because he also specifically put that he wants certain things published like 10 years after he dies or 15 years after he dies. So new things will be...
He died in 2010, right?
Yes. So I'm sure they've already started releasing some of his old work.
No, they did. They were saying between 2013 and 2020, the works that he wanted released are going to be published throughout those years. There was also one critic who had mentioned that, because he has this short story based on the Glass family, which I'm not familiar with. Basically, from what I've gathered, was saying that Salinger's writing was a bit one-dimensional and really engrossed in his own image, and even referred to him as a narcissist at one point. I mean, you specifically were trying to get at his work in modern day isn't
Doesn't hold up.
it doesn't hold up, and it's I think I mentioned this as well. I don't think it's not as groundbreaking as it was in 1950. I mean, this book has been read worldwide and was part of the curriculum. So many people at one point in their life read it and I think did relate to it. But as far as like overcoming strife and struggle, there are far more books that tell a story that needs to be heard.
Right. I was a little curious to go and read more of his work, but then I was like, I just can't, knowing what I know. I did want to point out one thing is he wrote a short story called For Esme with Squalor, and then I was thinking of Lemony Snicket, where Esme Squalor is one of the characters, and I was like, okay, we can't deny that Salinger still inspired a lot of other writers. And we see characters, as we talked about in our last video, we see characters that reflect Holden Caulfield in a way as well.
Definitely. I wrote to Mel and I'm like, I sent her an audio clip and I'm like, are we discrediting pioneers for their time? We can't, like Mel said, we can't deny the impact that Salinger did have in the literary world.
No, but that goes for so many people we've spoken about before and may speak about in the future, where you look at an artist, whether it's a book, a movie, music, where they impacted that industry, but then it comes out that they're not a good person. And we see it time and time again with people becoming predators, with people supporting Trump. And it's like, okay, you could be a very talented person and you could put out some great work and still be a piece of shit. Two things can be true at once.
Definitely.
And then that's, again, we've had this conversation before too, of like separating the art from the artist. And I don't know, I'm still just like, it's hard. I think it also depends what that person has done as well. And if you're supporting their art, if that brings money to them, then we don't want that. There's so much that goes into that conversation.
Right. They do mention him meeting Hemingway, and he was inspired by Hemingway, which I was thinking about your reference to A Farewell to Arms in the book, where I'm like, okay, you were inspired by Ernest Hemingway and admired him, but then you were throwing shade in your novel.
I didn't like that, especially knowing that he is a war veteran. I'm like, you definitely enjoyed A Farewell to Arms. Maybe you're sad that you didn't write the story. I don't know.
Well, there was somebody else who mentioned that Salinger wouldn't, how did they phrase it? Basically, when he would be hanging out at the clubs, at the bar, the lounges, he would be encouraging to like the young artists, musicians, but if you were a young writer, he would see you as competition and wouldn't encourage you. And let me tell you, as someone who's been in the spoken word world for a short period of time, the competition, the competitiveness is still rampant in the writing world. And I'm sure it's in every industry.
Yeah. I mean, it is a hard industry to break into.
It really is. Who would you say is like a modern... Let me not even ask this because that's going to push us into a whole other topic.
I will say authors don't have the same notoriety as they once did. And now there's, like every market, it's oversaturated, which is good and bad. It's good because more people can succeed in that field, but then it's bad because you're not really seeing, I don't know how to phrase it. Like, we're not seeing the same excitement around an author that you would see around a singer.
And I think it ties into like the loss of intellectualism. Right now, we're more superficial, we're more shallow. We're like, oh, beauty, just give us beauty, give us luxury. That's all we want to see.
But I do think the more we continue our book club and the more books we read, and especially newer books, maybe we'll immerse ourselves into that world and learn about more authors that are up and coming. I do think fantasy has kind of fantasy and romance. I know that those are two huge markets and huge fan bases. So I'm sure to those people, they have their own authors that are like, this is my Hemingway, this is my Salinger. What do you know? Something along those lines.
J.K. Rowling, we don't know her.
Who?
Exactly.
Colleen Hoover?
Her, oh my god, I have words about her. I said J.K. Rowling, we don't know her. Let me tell you my opinion, because I know you're all dying to know. Colleen Hoover. I read like 2 sentences from, what's it called? Grey's Anatomy. 50 Shades.
Bitch, I was like, she wrote Grey's Anatomy? That's crazy. No, she wishes.
50 Shades of terrible writing.
That's not Colleen Hoover.
It's not? No, it's not. It ends with us. I'm dying. I never read that. Who wrote, what's her name?
That's 50 Shades is somebody else.
E.L. James? Yeah. But I read like a couple sentences of 50 Shades and I was like, this is horrible writing. But you know what? People love the cheesy romance novel, so maybe I need to get into that field.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I'm realizing, especially with the most recent book we're reading, I really enjoy memoirs. I really enjoy reading about someone's life and learning more about them. I don't know. Fantasy is just not for me as it once was. And like, I used to be a diehard Twilight girl. And I read The Hunger Games, and I used to read a lot of fantasy, and now I'm just, I don't want it anymore. Maybe I'll come back into it. I bought a copy of The Hobbit, and I've been really wanting to get into The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. But I don't know. I gotta dedicate some time to that, and I don't have it right now.
That's a journey I will not be joining.
That's fine. I start my own channel.
I am excited for the latest Hunger Games movie to be released. Did you see the trailer for that?
Yes, is this the one about Hamage?
Yes.
Yes. And I wish I would have continued on with the other Hunger Game books, like all the prequels that have been written. But I am excited to see the movie. I haven't read that book for that one, but I am excited for the movie.
A series that Mel and I really wanted to revisit was a series of unfortunate events. And that's something Mel and I have been talking about behind the scenes because that is a 13-book series and it is so good. It is such an underrated series.
There's so much we can talk about with that series. I do want to reread them and talk about them, but then I also want to read new books still and continue to grow my library literally. But I don't know. We're still trying to figure that out. So let us know if there's any a series of unfortunate event fans. I don't know what I'm saying. The heat is really getting to me, guys. I'm so sorry.
If you are a fan of that series, let us know because I would love to reread that with you all. And there's so much to delve into. Like, there are so many little clues throughout each book. And you start piecing it together as you get further into the series.
Yeah, I'm sad it didn't get the same notoriety that Harry Potter did. I know they tried making the movie years ago with Jim Carrey, which I still thought was good. And then they made the Netflix series, which was also good. But I'm like, those books deserved full feature length. That's what we're gonna make. I was just naming everything.
Well, that was the weird thing. There was so much that they could have done with the series, but I guess because it wasn't getting the reception they expected.
Right. It's because the book was just too elite. It was too.
It's just over your head. Like, you just could not figure out a way to do. That's the series we're gonna do.
Listen, I'm gonna get my highlighter out. I'm gonna be really in that book, marking things down.
All right. And before we move on to our next topic, we are reading All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. All right. I think we're going to wrap up this segment and move on to our next topic. I think we have about 3 more topics we want to talk about. Our last topic may be saved for another episode, but we shall see.
Well, I think our last topic is just gonna be a quick little one, too.
How is it going to be a quick little one, too? It's a serious conversation within that movie.
Oh, is that not the order we're going in?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought we put that one last, but
I mean, we can move things around.
no, it's fine. I just pulled it up right now.
Okay.
Just kidding, just kidding. I know exactly what we're doing today. I'm well prepared. I finally watched the drama.
Listen, better late than never is what we always say.
Aren't you all proud of me? I finally watched it. And I own it now, actually. I didn't go to the theaters to watch it. I bought it and watched it with Theo.
Nice.
And I'll be honest, I was a bit disappointed, I would say. Do I think there is a serious conversation to be had about the reveal of the drama? Absolutely. I guess I had other theories in my mind of what the real drama was.
I remember I wrote to Danny, I'm like, you're never gonna guess it. And I was also saying earlier today, is like, I like an original story. That's what I've been enjoying recently in watching movies, because there are so many reboots and remakes, which I don't mind, but it's always nice to like walk into a movie theater and not really know what you're gonna get and being like, okay, all right, so this is the story you wanted to tell.
Are there going to be spoilers?
There are spoilers. This is the kind of the good thing about us being late to stuff, because most likely most of you already know what the movie was about.
Yes. Do you want to tell anybody else who doesn't know what was revealed in the drama? If you don't want to know, click off now. But if you do want to know, Mel's going to let you know. I do feel like the promo was deceiving, which sure was part of the marketing.
But what part about it did you think was deceiving?
I suppose it's my own perception, but I thought that it was more of like, I thought it was going to be more of a thriller, horror, even.
Oh, okay.
Well, listen, it is about a real world horror, right? Like, real world tragedies are more horrific than watching these thriller movies about, I don't know, Michael Myers or something, or Freddy Krueger.
I think they did a good job with their marketing of putting all the suspense in the trailers, because I really hate when the trailer shows you the whole movie. But anyway, the reveal is that Zendaya's character, when she was younger in high school, had planned out a school shooting, but she didn't go through with it. And she reveals this to her fiance and 2 friends, and then things in her life start to unravel, because now her fiance is wondering, who the hell am I marrying?
I didn't necessarily love how each scene was shot. Some of it I liked. It was fast paced, or they'll show like what the person is imagining in their head, and then cut back to like what's really going on. But I feel like some of the cuts, like the rapid cuts, like lost a sense of like emotional impact at times.
And it also kind of bothered me that they never really sat down to fully have that conversation. Like Zendaya's character kind of just wanted to move on from all of it and not really discuss it. And I'm like, the two of them need to go to couples counseling. Like it would have been, I think, maybe a better movie if there was a scene of that, maybe like them working through it.
I do feel like they could have made the flashbacks to when she was younger more in depth. I feel like they, again, because the way they were shooting the movie was like rapid, 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 scene cut, scene cut, scene cut, and we get glimpses of her younger self going through what she went through. But I feel like it would have been more of a, like I said, the emotional impact would have been stronger if we got to see more of the trauma that her younger self went through.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wish there would have been more conversations between the two of them about it, or them having some scene where she's in therapy or something along those lines. Like, we don't really get too into her head about it. I did like the one scene where Robert Pattinson's character was saying how you don't know how many people you pass on the street or meet that could be having this idea, which is true, but again, we didn't really unpack it as much as we could have. Because it is an important topic to talk about, like you said, and this is something that's happening every month, I think, or something along those lines. Like the amount of school shootings in America are ridiculous, and we still have yet to do anything about it. And I feel like even in the movie where they show her flashbacks of her being like, well, then I ended up joining the activist group and went against it. And I feel like she didn't even really explain that well either. Like there's her friend who had a cousin who was impacted by a school shooting, and then that friend doesn't find out until the wedding when the dad's giving the speech about her activism, and the friend just thinks it's all fake. But her, again, I just feel like there wasn't enough communication in the movie with a lot of the characters.
100%. And in what world would Rachel still be the maid of honor and be invited to the wedding? And be allowed to have and be allowed to continue the maid of honor speech.
Right, and the fact that they never had their conversation really bothered me. Like that's something that bothers me in a lot of movies and TV shows where there's a conversation that two characters need to have and they keep avoiding it, or it's not happening, or like the story's progressing and it could all be different if those two characters just sat and talked about the issue. Her and Rachel never talked about, and even when she decided to remove Rachel from the project, from the job offer, like that wasn't even communicated well between the two of them.
Right, but my thing is, why was Rachel surprised? Like you.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Rachel was not a good friend. She was shady from the beginning.
She's not a good friend. And she made the whole conversation about her and like what her cousin went through, which is fair. Yes, your cousin went through something serious and is affected for the rest of her life from that incident. But you're not understanding, wait a minute, what happened to Emma that made her even want to, like, to even think of doing something like that?
I can understand her initial reaction being anger, but then again, if that's your best friend, why are you not sitting down and talking with them? And I feel like, again, that's just a main part of the story that we didn't fully explore. I do want to point out that I wish, again, we're really bad at like, sometimes we're really bad at like knowing where we got a reference from, but I was watching a review of it and people were saying that they purposely made it Zendaya the main character instead of it being reversed and having it be Robert Pattinson, because
Right.
they said that a lot of people wouldn't have as much empathy towards the character if it was like, oh, here's another white man, which is usually the person behind a school shooting. Which I see that aspect of it. But again, I just felt like we didn't dive deep enough into the topic.
I agree. It kind of felt, you know how it felt to me? It felt like Mel and I just mentioned this before we started filming. We're not well versed in like cinematography terms. And I do mention how it was shot, and I liked some aspect of it, but I felt like it their intention was like to have a fast pace, and through the fast pace this serious issue is intertwined but kind of brushed past, which maybe is a metaphor in it of itself, right? Or it's symbolic in it of itself, because so many people do just brush past school shootings, or it's like, oh yeah, this horrific incident happened, and then nobody talks about it ever again until another school shooting happens, or it just becomes so normalized that, oh, they're doing drills in school now to prepare for it. So maybe that was the intention of like, we're going to bring up this serious topic, but we're going to present it in a way where modern America just brushes over it.
Right, because then it turned into this domino effect of all of these things happening where Robert Pattinson is struggling with, does he really know the person he's with, which I think was another theme of the movie, of like, you never really know someone, right? Like, you really need to like sit and have so many conversations about someone's whole life, and there's gonna be things that people are gonna keep to themselves or take to the grave, and they're not gonna share. I also wanted to point out, going off of that, is, what was her name? Rachel's character, her fucking secret.
Talk about being brushed over. You locked up a kid in a closet and left them there. She mentions leaving him there and just figured he would be found eventually.
And didn't tell the police. Like, the parents got so worried they called the police and she said nothing.
And I did see a note. I don't remember if it was a comment under a review video, but people were saying that the three of them were almost, at least two of them, right? Because Charlie mentions he may have bullied someone on the internet. And then technically, Rachel was a bully by locking that innocent child in the closet and disappearing and leaving them there.
Which again goes into the theme of like not really knowing someone, where a lot of people you meet in your adult life could have been bullies in elementary school, middle school, high school. You don't know what they were getting up to. Sometimes those people are still bullies, so you know, but sometimes they're reformed and they've grown.
Right.
And then again, that's another conversation to be had too, about growth and change in a person. And I think that was like one of the main points they were trying to make too, where Zendaya is like, that's not who I am anymore. Like, it was a dark period of my life. And ultimately, they still end up choosing to be with each other.
So, what was your overall opinion of the movie after you left the theater?
I thought it was an overall good movie. Would I watch it again? Probably not. I really like Zendaya and Robert Pattinson as actors, so I did enjoy their performance. And again, I like that it was an original experience. I was like, okay, that's not what I expected The Secret to be, but I think that that's an interesting topic to explore.
This is kind of a difficult question, but how do you think you would react if one of your friends told you that they had this experience when they were younger?
I think sometimes I'm too understanding to a fault, and maybe you know this about me, where I'm a little too forgiving, where I think it matters about who someone is in the present and then going into the future, where it's like, do I know this person to be hostile or mean? Right? Like, I think I'm forgiving of people's past, I would say, not forgiving of like present actions. But like, if someone's telling me that they had a dark past or they made mistakes in their past, I think it's important to accept people where they're at and be willing to see their growth and their change. Because I think about this a lot, and I have this conversation with myself and in my head a lot, where there's a lot of shitty people that exist in the world, and the only way we're going to get to a place of peace and solidarity is if we allow people to grow and change. And I think sometimes people don't grow and change because the environment doesn't allow that to happen. And obviously, not to compare, but there are way worse things that people could be and could have done. I think it'd be completely different if they're like, yeah, and I went through with it, but no one died. I don't know. I think it all depends on like
The circumstance.
and because again, like mentioned in the story, I think there are people out there who have a lot of dark thoughts that we obviously can't hear or see or know. So if they find someone that they're comfortable with and they decide to open up, like, I think the way that person reacts is important. But I want to throw the question back to you.
Well, I was just thinking about Holden Caulfield, right, to tie it all together. And we just mentioned that there were 3 people who were inspired by the character Holden Caulfield and then did commit or attempt to commit a similar heinous act, right, where they do have this disdain for the world, and people may either, right, there's 2 different types, right? It's like, yes, there's people who are deranged and then it's not that they were mistreated, they just have evil thoughts. And then you have people who were mistreated, and over time it just built and created the monster within them. So they're like, I can't take it anymore. I hate people. I have this disdain for people because they hurt me and they're mean to me and they mistreat me. And over time, they're in so much pain that they went through with some of the thoughts that went through their head, right? The violence that started accumulating within them. And this is where it gets tricky, right? Because you're like, okay, a lot of these white male shooters that we're hearing about, the first thing they want to say is like, oh, he had mental health issues, right? Or whatever propaganda they're trying to put out, or what, because we know that all of this is tied to politics as well when it comes to America. So the news outlets are going to portray it the way they want to portray it. Yes, gun violence is an issue in our country. Mental health is an issue, and people's lack of compassion and love for one another is an issue, and that's a common theme we talk about throughout multiple episodes, where we're losing that care and kindness for one another. And you have people who are creating these thoughts because they're being bullied every single day by another human being for just existing sometimes. And like you said, yeah, it's about like really diving into that person's thought process and their emotions, and really trying to, it's like, yeah, some people are like, I don't understand that because I don't have those thoughts, and I would never think to like take a, not going to say the word, whatever, because YouTube, but we say a lot of words that YouTube doesn't like. I'm not going to take,
You're not going to take action,
right?
And I think that's an important part of it too, where I'm not saying I have sympathy for people who have committed that crime. I think if you've gone through with that, you need to pay for the crimes you committed. And I think we also need to try to prevent these things from happening. Like, yes, gun control, but then will that person find another weapon? Will that person try to harm people in another way? Like, gun control and then mental health awareness, both are important things that we need to focus on. And I also think it's an important part of that story that Zendaya's character was someone being bullied and wanted to harm her peers, like you're saying about, like, imagine someone going through this every single day, and people either end up taking their own life or taking others' lives or both. And I think it's important that that was a part of the conversation in the movie as well, because there are some people who are just grown men who just walk into a school and like that's like I don't even understand that in any regard. But then there's also the side of, this is a peer within the school who's being bullied, and this is their reasoning behind that. And sometimes the school's not doing anything to prevent that from happening, or the parents aren't, they're not learning their child, they're not caring about their child, they're not noticing their child's change of behavior.
Right.
So again, I think that that was an important part of the story as well, that she was someone who was being bullied.
And I do think there was an element of Zendaya's character, Emma, who did want to just move past that part of her life where, of course, it's tied to a lot of traumatic memories and really painful memories, because she's telling you that there was a motivation behind these thoughts, which was her peers being cruel to her on a regular basis. And I'm sure it was difficult for her to even revisit what potentially could have been this catastrophic event.
And another part of that was her saying that she liked the aesthetic behind it. I think that was important as well, because again, children are impressionable. Or she's creating this persona of being a tough person, and then she's moving towards wearing darker clothes and darker makeup.
Yes.
And again, being an angsty teenager, which we talked about with Holden Caulfield as well. And really what she needed was some guidance. And I think once she saw the impact of a school shooting in real life, in real time, she realized that that's not something that she actually would have wanted to go through with.
And found a more positive outlet to be seen and heard, right? Because she wanted to find a group that she fit in with, which was the activist group, which she did end up finding friendships through.
Yeah, I did love the irony in that.
Right. It's a lot of the times it is about feeling alone and isolated and not having that support system, like you mentioned, not having the family around you that's acknowledging you. And then you go to school and you're being treated horribly by your peers, and you don't really have a space where you feel loved and valued.
Right. And I'm also thinking about, and again, I don't want people to think that I'm sympathizing with murderers. I'm just imagining if any of those people had gone to someone before going through with it and said, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. You obviously are going to be like, okay, we need to get you help. We need to call the police. We need to call therapists. We need to put you into some kind of therapy, instead of being like, you're fucking weird or you're crazy, because then that's going to push someone over the edge.
It's a lot. If you all saw the movie, let us know what you thought.
All we just need to do is care a little more and communicate and be there for one another. We don't condone any violence, and we think people need to talk to each other, talk to a therapist, work through their issues. And the next movie that I want us both to try to watch and talk about is called Obsession. I've been telling Danny about this. I haven't seen it yet, but I think it'll be another interesting topic to talk about. I know that the plot of it is a guy who wants to get this girl to like him, so he uses some kind of like black magic to get her to fall in love with him. And obviously, to all the spiritual people out there, they know not to mess with that kind of stuff. Never try to put a love spell on somebody. So I even though I know what most of the movie is about, I still hear that it's a great movie because I think there are some plot twists and turns, and obviously an important message in there. And I've also been seeing a huge discourse between the way men interpret the movie and the way women interpret the movie. So
Okay. I was telling Mel I do think we need to start talking more about spiritual things. So that could be some future conversations.
yes, maybe that movie will help because again, like he goes into a crystal shop, he does some magic. You gotta be careful out there too. Again, you don't know what is going on in people's brains. Another movie I want to see is Disclosure Day. Have you been seeing trailers for that? The Steven Spielberg movie?
No.
That's like a sci-fi movie, I'm pretty sure. I don't really fully know what it's about, but I think it's kind of like another apocalyptic movie. Disclosure Day is a meteorologist and a cybersecurity expert find themselves at the center of a movement to expose the government's cover-up of extraterrestrial secrets. Another thing we've been wanting to talk about is aliens. Stay tuned. Maybe the next 2-3 months we'll have seen either of those movies and we'll talk about them.
I think Obsession will be a good movie to watch and have an episode in July.
Yes.
We love our movies and we love to deep dive about the symbolism that's beneath it all. So let us know what else we should watch. So we are going to pivot to 2 stories. The next one we wanted to talk about, we learned from Instagram. This next person we're talking about is Pattie Gonia, who is an American drag queen, environmental and LGBTQ plus activist and community organizer. And she's currently in the midst of a ongoing lawsuit with the clothing brand Patagonia. They're an outdoors apparel brand. And they're suing her because they don't want her to have rights to her drag name.
I learned that she recently wanted to trademark her drag name. And the trademark laws in the US anyway are very weird. And Danny and I have looked into this stuff previously, and like we wanted to like put out certain merchandise and things like that. So we were really studying copyright and trademark law. So I think that that's an important part to mention because I think at first I was like, is this company being anti-LGBTQ plus? Or are they just being a business and
trying to protect their brand?
right. So that's where I was like trying to look at it from both sides. Because I'm like, okay, I'm seeing it on one end of the company. They have to follow through with the lawsuit so that no one else can try to come for their brand and their trademark. Because they are only suing her for $1. But even though it's just $1, like she still is gonna have to spend so much money going through the court system, hiring lawyers, and the whole process of a lawsuit is just, it drains your bank account. So I think it is messed up because obviously this company has so much money. What are your thoughts?
Well, I did want to read their initial post, Pattie's initial post, finally revealing that she's been going through this lawsuit with Patagonia. She finally broke her silence. So I want to read that quickly. She says, today I'm breaking my silence about the lawsuit that the multi-billion-dollar corporation Patagonia has filed against me, a drag queen and climate activist, for trademark infringement. Patagonia told the media they're only suing me for $1. What they're actually trying to do is take away my name permanently and threaten me with more than $1 million in legal fees. This is not a brand conflict. This is a corporation trying to erase an activist. This is how corporations bully individuals who cannot match their resources. I'm just going to read a little bit more. because this would take away not only my activism and my career, but also the livelihoods of the team I employ. This is a betrayal of Patagonia's core mission, because if they're quote unquote in business to save the home planet, why are they suing a climate activist? Over the last 4 months since the lawsuit was filed, I have stayed silent, courteous, and worked every channel I had to resolve this without going to court. But in the end, I had two choices. One, the erasure of my name, my advocacy, my community, and everyone I employ. Or two, fight for myself and fight for us. So I'm fighting, and I'm inviting you to join me in a simple call to action. Pattie dropped the lawsuit. She talks about how it all started, and I'll go over that briefly. She says in 2018, she put on a pair of heels on a backpacking trip and created my drag persona, Pattie Gonia, named after a region in South America called Patagonia, a name that predates both me and the clothing brand by 500 years. Since 2018, I have built a community of more than 3 million people, a nonprofit teaching allyship in the outdoors, hired more than 600 artists and advocates, toured drag shows nationwide about climate solutions, and together raised more than 3.7 million for nonprofits. She continues on and says, so here's the part that made my jaw drop. Patagonia, a multi-billion dollar corporation, went to a federal court in January to say that I am causing irreparable harm to their brand by doing motivational speaking services in support of environmental sustainability and organizing, arranging, and conducting trail and hiking events. Let's talk about the irreparable harm, because there's three things you need to know. First, their claims of trademark infringement. I have never used their logo, font, or anything from their brand on our merch website. Instead, the lawsuit cherry picks a few examples of playful parody and fan art and tries to spin those into some kind of vast use of their logo. Drag is built on parody, puns, and jokes. But I'm willing to never parody their logo ever again. AKA never give them free PR ever again. Next, let's talk about the agreement or understanding that people are saying I broke. There was no agreement. In 2022, when I was collaborating with a third party, Patagonia asked me to follow certain terms, and I did. That wasn't a broad agreement about my future. Lastly, my trademark application. I filed a trademark application not to compete with a multi-billion dollar corporation, but because of what happened to a drag queen named Lexi Love, whose name was taken from her by a third party after RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm just going to wrap up this post, and then we can get into more of the discourse. So Pattie says, now let's talk timing. Isn't it interesting that the multi-billion dollar corporation Patagonia chose this exact moment, the height of anti-LGBTQ plus politics and attacks on the environment, to sue me? They've known about me for 8 years, and the impact of this timing right now is serious and it's real. I think they looked at the political moment and thought they could pull this off without much pushback. But if Patagonia wants to celebrate Pride this year by taking a queer climate activist to federal court, then I'm here to fight for myself and to fight for us. And then continues for a call to action to the community to help her fight this battle.
I think I've seen some of her videos pop up a few times before, but I became more familiar with her more recently. And I agree with a lot of what she's saying, because again, this company has so much money, and if she's willing to come to some kind of agreement outside of court so that she's not gonna end up being financially drained going to court against a multi-billion dollar company, like, I feel like they could do that. But again, like we were mentioning earlier, I feel like they're trying to set a precedent for their own label.
Mind you, the name of their brand is a region in South America. So let's really talk about owning the rights to something like that.
And this is where, again, trademark it's tricky, and I only bring that up not to say that I'm on their side, but I bring it up because I feel like this lawsuit is important for trademark going forward. And again, not saying I'm on the side of the company, I'm just saying it's important because there are a lot of people out there who try to trademark ridiculous things. Do you remember when that YouTube channel wanted to trademark the word react?
Who was it?
It was the Fine Brothers, because they have the React channel. They were trying to trademark, I'm gonna put something on the screen. They were trying to trademark the word react, and that did not go over well.
Not to bring up your girl again, but I remember Taylor Swift was trying to trademark a word, and they were like, you just can't.
She was trying to, or was it copy? Because again, I get confused sometimes with copyright and trademarks. I think copyright is for, like, she wanted a slogan. I forgot. It was from one of her songs. It was like a slogan, and it was like, well, which again, that's why I think this lawsuit is important, and we need to support Pattie Gonia, because I think some companies and people just get too greedy. And there's also another recent story that I'm just remembering now. Sorry, I should have told Danny before, so I'm not just like springing it on her. But there's another recent story of this TikToker who's trying to trademark Hot Girls Read. And people are like, girl, you didn't invent that. You didn't come up with that saying. Like, so again, there's this like people out there who do get greedy and try to take ownership of something that isn't theirs.
I have two things I want to say. I do want to play the part 2 where I believe it was the CEO who spoke out. I'm going to play that video. But I also wanted to mention, and I texted this to Mel when I was like, let's cover this story. You know what they could have done? They could have collaborated with Pattie for the month of June for Pride Month and did an awesome collaboration where you're doing like a Pride apparel line, outdoor apparel line, or like even have some of the revenue be donated to an LGBTQ plus organization.
And I just think trademark laws are stupid, honestly. Like, I sometimes, I guess, can see certain angles, but then I'm just like, overall, we need to stop capitalism. We need to stop greed. We need to stop monopolization. And people always feeling like, I should own this. I created this. I'm the only person that can ever do this. It's just possible that two people can have similar ideas and similar interests and like the same colors and want to do the same thing.
See, this is where it gets tricky though, like you were saying, because yes, there are malicious people out there that are like, I'm going to steal this person's whole idea and make it my own and make money off of it. So yes, it is tricky. Again, it does come down to greed and profit. We know this. I don't want anybody, people out there are like, I don't want anybody making money off of what I created, what the brand that I established. And this is where the waters get murky.
Right. And there's another drag queen that I wanted to mention. Her name is Jan Sport, which I think is super cute. I always love the drag names that they come up with. And she ended up doing a collaboration with the brand Jan Sport, and they created a bag for her.
Exactly.
But then I'm like, okay, but if they never did the collaboration and she one day wanted to create her own backpack and then trademark Jan Sport, which is again spelled different and like a parody and a play on it, would that be okay? Right, so that's where I'm seeing both sides of it, where I'm like, okay, Patagonia also wants to come out with outdoor clothing, even though it's spelled different and she's not using their logo. So then it's like, well, can people just have similar ideas and put them out into the world? And maybe she wants to create her own brand, which I think it's fine if she wants to create her own brand and build her own empire and build her own company. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But again, I don't want to play devil's advocate because sometimes I hate when people do that, but I am also just seeing both sides of it.
Let's take a look at the video that I believe is the CEO who spoke out and addressed the lawsuit and see what they have to say.
Watch this.
And we've never tried to stop that. When Patty started selling apparel, then started a business, then filed trademark applications for the exclusive use of Pattie-Gonia in apparel and environmental advocacy, and then wouldn't have a conversation. I think this is really a problem.
Lies. This is straight up lies, because the first time we heard from Patagonia after filing our trademark application was 4 months later, when their internal lawyer emailed to say that Patagonia had filed the lawsuit against me for trademark infringement. So there was no conversation, not because I wasn't willing to have it, but because Patagonia, you never reached out. You blindsided us. So I'll tell you what's really going on here. Either you, Ryan Geller, CEO of Patagonia, are lying to the public, or the people under you are lying directly to your face. Speaking of trademarks, not only did I submit my trademark to the US Patent and Trademark Office, but it passed the first step. And the examining attorney found it, and I quote, not confusingly similar to Patagonia's mark. Patagonia, from the beginning, all I've wanted is peace. And I don't think you're entitled to what I'm about to do, and you certainly don't deserve it for your extremely disappointing behavior, but I'm gonna offer it to you right now. You're saying the issue is the trademark? I'm willing to drop the trademark. And if I do that, you drop the lawsuit.
I know she doesn't want to go to court, but again, I keep saying, I just think that this would be such an important lawsuit for so many companies and people trying to build companies going forward, because there's so many big monopolies out there that are constantly trying to stop smaller businesses from existing. And that's, again, why I brought up like the like even the possibility of a collaboration. Like maybe she didn't want to do a collaboration, and she doesn't have to, right? Like I know people are saying that it'd be great if they did, and a part of me is like, yeah, that would be great. But then another part of me is like, but shouldn't she also be able to like build her own company?
Right, which she's saying, yeah, I want to build my own company, and I won't pursue the trademark for Pattie Gonia. I do know she posted an update that was hinting that there's been things happening behind the scene that she can't speak about.
Which makes me think that the lawsuit's still possibly happening, because usually once lawyers are involved, you can't discuss a lot. And once a court case is coming up, you usually can't say much about it.
But let us know what you all think about this case. If you are more knowledgeable about trademark laws, please inform us below. We did have another case we wanted to give an update on, which was the Spirit Airlines case. We wanted to check in on Hunter Peterson and Spirit Airlines 2.0. If you don't know what we're referring to, in I believe that was episode 19, right?
Yes.
This young man put this viral video out and was like, we should all own Spirit Airlines now that it went bankrupt, and created this concept of an airline for the people by the people. And there have been some updates, because he is actively and legally pursuing potentially buying the airlines with all of us, or whoever would like to contribute. Again, we're not well versed in the legalities of it all, but we're here for a positive news story that could potentially benefit the community.
Month ago, this started as a crazy idea, but today we can finally say this is now becoming something so much bigger. Welcome to phase 2 of Spirit 2.0. Now, what does that mean? We are currently looking for accredited investors to help put together our bid, the people's bid, to try and buy an airline. Because we have to follow rules set out by the SEC, the FAA, and the DOT, we can only accept accredited investment for now. This is a highly regulated asset. It's a very loud plane. Now, non-accredited investors, the majority of you, your time is coming very soon. But we want to make sure that we follow the right protocols to make sure that we have a real fighting chance. We have the right airline industry executives in the right rooms working on our behalf. So what we need you all to do, if you're an accredited investor, go to letsbuyspiritair.com. If you're a non-accredited investor, we'll have more information on our community Discord soon enough, as well as emails that will be coming out in the coming weeks. Now, the deadline for us to put together the funding for our bid is June 26th. We're going to do something no one has ever done before. Even if we can raise just a small percentage of what we got from the initial pledges. This is something that we are building in real time as a group. I'm in this. You're in this. We're all in this together. So go to letsbuyspiritair.com and let's go try and buy an airline.
Okay, I do want to look at maybe one or two more of his most recent posts. But before I do that, I wanted to read this comment. So this person said, if I'm accredited enough to pay taxes, it drives me crazy that's not good enough to have the freedom to spend my already tax money on things I want to. Let's go. I'm ready to help. Sucks we have to do the red tape dance. But I'm not ready to give up on an opportunity for the people to contribute towards change we want to see when traveling. Please, can we have leg room that doesn't cost a leg?
Yes, and going off of you saying that we're not well versed in these topics, I think that's why it's important for us to learn about these things and then also share it with other people, because going off of the last story and this story, there's so much about the corporate world and capitalism that they don't teach us, and that's intentional because they don't want us to grow and they don't want us to come together in this capacity, and they're gonna put all these barriers in place to make it impossible for people to actually build businesses and build investments and get out of poverty and have affordable anything or even start their own business. And we're seeing that with both of these stories. And I think that's why, and I think, you know, going forward, maybe Danny and I will try to do a little more research. And we always say that because, again, we always want to learn as much as possible. Knowledge is power. And I think it's important to know these things because, again, they're not teaching it to us. So I'm glad that there's people out there that are like, hey, this is what this law is, or this is the, I don't know how to say it, but like, again, like, and I spoke about this briefly in one of our previous videos about how working hard doesn't always get you everywhere because they create, again, all of these obstacles and all of these hoops to jump through, that it's not just like 1, 2, 3, start a business.
Let's view his most recent post. He posted this on Instagram 2 days ago, and this is the latest update. He posted this on June 14th. This is the latest update on his progress on acquiring Spirit Airlines with the people, for the people.
Really quickly, we sent out emails to 45,000 accredited investors last night, but we need all of you to actually opt into the emails so that we can then send the investment links. So if you're an accredited investor, maybe know an accredited investor or want to be an accredited investor, go to your email right now. If there's an email with this heading in there, click opt in so that we can actually send you the link to invest. And if you want to invest in Spirit 2.0, go to letsbuyspiritair.com and let's make this happen because we are more than halfway to our first funding goal of $5 million. Let's do this.
Wild. Is it a little worrisome about who these accredited investors are? Of course. Like we said, there's always going to be the greedy, selfish people out there. But I will still maintain hope.
All right, well, we love you guys.
Yes, we love you. Comment below. What else? Join our book club. Join our book club. Like, comment, subscribe. What else?
Come back next time.
Yes. Thank you all for watching. We will see you next time.
Bye.